Hello and welcome to my channel. CJ writes books and horror, and today's video is my review of The Stand by Stephen King. This is the edition which I have. The Stand was published in 1978, but this is the complete and uncut version which was released in 1990. The blurb on the back of this edition reads, when a man escapes from a biological testing facility, sets in motion a deadly domino effect, spreading a mutated strain of the flu that will wipe out 99% of humanity within a few weeks. The survivors who remain are scared, bewildered, and in need of a leader. Two emerge: Mother Abigail, a benevolent 108-year-old woman who urges them to build a community in Boulder, Colorado, and Randall Flagg, the nefarious dark man who delights in chaos and violence. The Stand is split into three distinctive parts, each covering a particular time period from the start of the superflu outbreak to the stand between the two groups of survivors. Part 1, Captain Trips, is from June 16th to July the 4th. The outbreak of the superflu, which is nicknamed Captain Trips, at the start of the novel, it begins at a secret army base where one guy who's supposed to be keeping an eye on what's happening sees that something's gone wrong. And instead of holding quarantine, he panics, makes a run for it, taking his young wife and child with him, and they infect everyone they come in contact with once the car crashes at a gas station not long after his escape. From there, the infection skyrockets, and though we only really hear about the effects of the outbreak in the US, it is assumed by the survivors that the whole world went down with it, causing something like 99% fatality. This part of the book is broken up between points of view of a number of different characters, most of which we follow throughout the book. Of those characters, Stu Redman is one of the people who was at the gas station when the guy from the army base crashed, and he's the first person to show an immunity to the virus. He is tested at the Center for Disease Control, and pretty much everyone else at the CDC dies due to fear of the truth about the superflu coming out. Stu's life is in danger, but he manages to escape, later meeting up with two other survivors, Franny Goldsmith and Harold Lauder. Franny Goldsmith, she is a pretty young woman who's in her early 20s. She's living with her parents in the town of Ogunquit, Maine. At the start of the book, she discovers that she is pregnant, and much to her mother's dismay, but her father is surprisingly calm about it. Once the superflu hits and her parents are dead, she and Harold Lauder leave Ogunquit to look for the survivors. Harold is a few years younger than Franny. He's about 17, and he has a crush on Franny, she being one of the friends of Harold's older sister. Harold wants to prove to Franny that he can protect her on their journey, but his nose is put out of joint when they meet up with Stu Redman. Another character we meet, separate to Stu, Franny and Harold, at least in this part of the book, is Larry Underwood. Larry is a singer-songwriter who has recently had a chart-topping hit with a song that's called Baby Can You Dig Your Man. Fame goes to his head a bit, and he seems pretty selfish and narcissistic at the beginning of the book. As things progress with the super flu, Larry is haunted by the way he has treated people, especially women. This is shown by his actions to one woman who's kind of a groupie before the epidemic hits, and one after that, where he finds, as he's heading out of the city to look for survivors. These interactions do start to change Larry, but it is slow going at the start of the book. Another character that we meet, separate to the others, is Nick Andros. Nick is a deaf-mute drifter. When we first meet him, he's being jumped by a gang of thugs outside of Cheyenne, Arkansas. When the local sheriff rounds up the gang, because of the problems that's caused by the virus, Nick ends up helping out at the jail, taking care of the thugs as they die off one by one. When they're all gone, he leaves Shoyo looking for more survivors. We also meet a guy called Lloyd. Lloyd and his friend Andrew Poke Freeman are going on a killing spree across 3 different US states, kind of completely oblivious to the virus outbreak. When one of their attacks goes wrong for them and Poke is killed, Lloyd is arrested and is prepared to go on trial. Because of the super flu, that doesn't come about, and though he's left to die in prison, he's rescued by a strange man by the name of Randall Flagg. Randall Flagg is also known as the Dark Man, or the Tall Man, or the Walking Dude. Flagg is Stephen King's resident big bad. He's the personification of pure evil through this and other of King's works, most notably the Dark Tower series. His aim in the book, The Stand, is to gather a group of survivors together to cause as much chaos and destruction as possible. The final person of note we learn about is Mother Abigail. She's kind of on the flip side to Randall Flagg. Mother Abigail is a 108-year-old black woman, and is a beacon for good for those survivors who choose to side with her instead of Randall Flagg. Both she and Flagg appear to the other survivors in visions, and the survivors pretty much choose which one they are really going to follow. Those that are evil quickly side with Flagg, and those that are good, or at least not especially evil, side with Mother Abigail. And this section of the book ends with survivors starting their journeys together with whichever one of them they choose to do. Part 2 of The Stand is called On the Border, and it goes from July the 5th to September the 6th. This part predominantly covers those that gather with Mother Abigail and the setting up of the settlement that they call the Free Zone in Boulder, Colorado. We get some new characters, most notably a very beautiful young woman called Nadine Cross, someone called Glenn Bateman, who was a professor of sociology, Ralph Bretner, Judge Farris, and Tom Cullen. Larry Underwood is the one that meets up with Nadine Cross and a young boy she's sort of looking after, who she calls Joe. Nadine is a strange woman who is going prematurely grey, and though she's described in the novel as amazingly good looking, uh, Larry is surprised to learn that she is in fact a virgin. Um, though that may not be particularly strange in and of itself, we learn that the reason she's a virgin is because she is prophetically promised herself to Randall Flagg, though she doesn't really understand who or what he is yet. Um, at the free zone, the survivors managed to set up some sort of small interim government committee in order to get things done. Due to circumstances in the committee driven by the actions of Harold Lord Lauder, after his nose is put out of joint, mainly because Franny and Stu set up her house together, and because Larry rejects a relationship with Nadine because he feels that something isn't right with her. Harold and Nadine, driven by prompts by Randall Flagg in visions, attempt to kill the Free Zone Committee and flee to Flagg's group in Las Vegas. This is partly successful, resulting in blowing up the building the committee were going to meet in and in killing Nick Andros. But on the way to Flagg's group, because Flagg no longer needs him and only really wants Nadine, Harold ends up dying on the journey. Finally, we come to part 3 of the book, which is entitled The Stand. This part of the book mainly takes place in Randall Flagg's camp in Las Vegas. Because Flagg is massing a stockpile of weapons in order to attack the people in the free zone. Stu Redman, Glenn Bateman, Larry Underwood, and Ralph Bretner head over there to see what Flagg is going to do so they can prepare the free zone for what is to come. That is where I'm going to leave the description and really tell you if you want to know what happens. Basically, read the book. Personally, this has been my least favourite King book I've read in this series so far. It's a monster of a book, as you can see. It's really big. I think it's the only book that's bigger than this is it. But unlike it, this book the story kind of drags. I feel that probably the cut version would have been enough to get the story across. The extra pieces that have been added to this version are not really needed for the story, and don't really add that much to the plot. I mean, there's some people that do love these extra pieces, adding more information on some of the characters, but I didn't enjoy it at all, and I only gave this book 3 stars. So there you go. What did you think of The Stand? Let me know in the comment section down below, and remember to like the video if you enjoyed it, and remember to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one.